CBS's Nikole Killion is at the White House with more on the ongoing retaliatory strikes against Iran. Nicole.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we are still learning details about what exactly is going on at this hour, Major. But what we do know, according to a statement from CENTCOM, is that a U.S. aircraft did target missile and drone storage locations in Iran, calling this a powerful response after a drone attack by Iranian forces on a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the president earlier today, and actually you can see that statement from CENTCOM, the unwarranted aggression against commercial shipping by Iranian forces clearly violated the ceasefire. So it goes on to say that Iran's dangerous behavior undermined freedom of navigation as commerce increasingly flows through the vital international trade corridor. And of course, this is a key part of that recently signed memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran, reopening the Strait of Hormuz. In exchange, the U.S. dropped its naval blockade there. But of course, this is really the first kind of tit-for-tat response we have seen since that agreement was reached. The president warning earlier today about those drone strikes, that it was a foolish violation of our ceasefire agreement. And just a short time ago in the Oval Office, before these strikes by the United States took place, he was asked whether or not there would be any repercussions for this Iranian drone attack on that ship in the Strait of Hormuz. And he just said, we'll see. And then minutes later, Major, is when we got word from CENTCOM about these attacks. Now, what this means for the future of the agreement remains to be seen. But there's certainly a lot of concern at this hour about the fragility of this agreement, if it even still holds, now that both sides have exchanged fire again.
Nikole Killion with all the latest. I appreciate it very much. I'm going to walk over to the touchscreen where I will find Aaron MacLean, who's host of the School of War podcast and my able advisor and educator on all matters. This is happening right before our eyes, Aaron, and clearly the memorandum of understanding now has a very big misunderstanding or intentional misreading.
That's right. So it's the middle of
It's back to kinetic stuff.
It is. It's the middle of the night in Iran right now, and the United States Central Command is striking targets. We don't know exactly where, but we know it's in the area of the Strait of Hormuz. We hear missile sites, drone sites, and radar sites. These Iranian islands here also have potential targets on them. In retaliation for a strike the Iranians did yesterday on a container ship, the Ever Lovely, that was transiting this southern Omani route through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians don't like the existence of this route. They want all ships to go through a northern route that they control. And that's the core issue. Iran says we control the Strait of Hormuz. The United States says, no, you don't. And we've never actually settled this question.
Right. And now with this fire, first from them, now from U.S. forces, we're back where we were several weeks ago when this was a contested piece of geography with global economic implications.
And I think what you're seeing here in the Strait of Hormuz, but on other issues as well, for example, what's going on right now with Hezbollah in Lebanon, is the Iranians have a series of very clear for them strategic goals. They want revenue. They want to control the Strait of Hormuz. They want Israel out of Lebanon. And they are pursuing each of these goals in turn and provoking or daring, I think is the better word, daring the United States into responding. Right now, we see Central Command and President Trump responding. What the Iranian response to that is going to be, that's the big question for tonight into tomorrow. But we see Iranian strikes in places like the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, other sorts of places like that.
Aaron, would it be foolish of me to ask a question I think might be on the minds of my audience? Aaron, you just put a whole red line about things that were still there. Why were they still there? Why didn't we attack them earlier? Why didn't we take them out to make sure they couldn't do that once we knew we were going to pursue a negotiated agreement with the Memorandum of Understanding talking about an open Strait of Hormuz? Why didn't we deal with this before?
One of the enduring mysteries of this entire campaign, Operation Epic Fury, from the start has been why the United States failed to anticipate or plan for the obvious Iranian counter move to the killing of the Ayatollah, the leadership strikes, the very high-intensity way that this war began. That move obviously being closing the Strait of Hormuz. It happened right at the start. The United States, frankly, never reopened the strait. We were helping sneak a few ships out at night there towards the end. But at no point did we effectively establish conditions in the strait for the free flow of traffic. Now we claim that Iran has agreed in the Memorandum of Understanding to allow traffic through. Well, as the events of yesterday show, the Iranians have a somewhat different interpretation of that than we do. It's a very, very unstable situation.
Aaron, before I let you go, do we have any sense of where what the disposition is of our naval assets here? Because for the blockade, they were all down here. Are they still hanging around, more or less?
Yeah, we do have a pretty substantial laydown of naval forces. Generally speaking, speaking, out here in the Gulf of Oman and further on off the map in the Arabian Sea. We do not have a lot of naval assets in the Persian Gulf right now. Why? Because when we sail them back and forth through the Strait of Hormuz, they tend to get shot at by the Iranians, which happened before the MOU got signed on several occasions. So right now, yes, assets in the region, Central Command, pretty well armed, but the Iranians not particularly deterred.
Might be a dicey weekend ahead. We're going to watch that little stretch of geography and waterway very closely. Aaron MacLean, great stuff as always.